Buddy. Yeah. Would you please rise and sing Spirit of Life with us? And that's 123 in your book and or behind me.
Good morning. Welcome everyone to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where we join together to create a nourishing, liberal religious home to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world, or as we say in short, to create community, find meaning, and live justly. I want to begin, as always, by welcoming all that you come with, all of your unique beliefs and background and lifestyle, your experiences, your differences, all that helps make you who you are is welcome here this morning. This includes those of you who we see most Sundays, as well as those who might be visiting or joining us for the first time. We're glad to have you as well. And it's so good to have all of those who are joining us via our live stream this morning also. So welcome to one and all. Wanted to start with a couple of announcements. One, this coming Friday at 1 o'clock, we will have Donna Borden Rhodes' Celebration of Life here at our church. For those who want to attend that, please put that on your calendars. There is no potluck today because we had that luncheon earlier this month, kicking off our generosity campaign. If somebody forgot and you brought a dish to share, I'm sure there'll be folks during social hour that'll be grateful to share it with you. So thank you, but if not, you'll understand that we'll continue our third Sunday potluck next month. Speaking of the pledge campaign, we are in the midst of our annual generosity campaign. I still fall back and call it a pledge campaign or stewardship, but officially it's our generosity campaign, in which we depend upon the generosity of you, our friends, and our members to help sustain this church for the coming year. We've got a lot of fixed expenses that we have to have the money to pay for, as well as hopefully extra things, be they building improvements or taking on new programs, those sort of things. And like a lot of organizations these past few years, since COVID, this congregation has taken a financial hit, so it's been kind of difficult. One, as a lot of folks know, we had a splinter. I don't call it a split, but a splinter back in 2020. Where about 10% of our congregation left, and that created some financial challenges for us. In addition to all that's transpired in the greater economy since COVID has impacted people's pocketbooks in general, and sadly, during the past year or more, we have just lost a lot of our long-term beloved members have passed away, and that's been really hard, of course. Just missing them not being here many who've been here for well over 50 years were just integral part of our lives and our congregation. But it seems like, almost one person a month has passed away this past year or year and a half. And a lot of those folks were very generous contributors to our church. So I'm a bit concerned about where we might end up this year, and really appreciate your generosity and understand that we we ask folks to be as generous as is possible, those of you who are affiliated with the church in any way, if you can be. We also acknowledge that no amount is too great and no amount is too little, because we are a community here. We're doing the stone soup thing, which is no matter what we put in, we end up with having enough for the community. So I do thank you in advance for your great generosity, but I thought it was fair also to make you aware of where things are, of the realities that we're facing these days. A lot of us are. So thank you for your generosity, particularly given the difficult and uncertainty of the times that we're in. Okay, now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, Happy Easter. Easter is not a big holiday for me, and I don't think it's a major holiday for Unitarians in general. Most Unitarian churches today, if you go to them, they're gonna give you a metaphor about the renewal of spring, how resurrection is a renewal of life and spring, which is nice, but you want to hear that same sermon every year. I stopped giving it decades ago. I just go on with my regular insanity, or perhaps a symbolic celebration, or just a day off. I hope that you enjoy it, and we are going to have an Easter egg hunt during the Children's Chapel today. Does that sound like fun? Yes, yay. And I actually saw the Easter bunny walking around out there just a minute ago, hiding eggs. So thanks to the Easter bunny and anybody else who helped the Easter bunny, not only hide them, but contribute some of the goodies in those eggs. We really appreciate that as well. So yeah, I'm not giving an Easter sermon, but my sermon called The Singularity really is on, my second love in life, and that is my interest in technology and futurism. But I really became interested in this, oddly enough, about 20 years ago when I stumbled upon a used book. There's a bargain book somewhere by a physicist named Frank Tipler, and it was called The Physics of Mortality. The Physics of Immortality, I should say. And about a third of that book is pure mathematical equations. He puts at the back and says, if you're not a physicist, don't read this part, which I didn't. But the first part of the book is just fascinating. And he's the first person who talked about Jesus did not rise from the dead because people can't rise from the dead. But someday we will have that technology. And he started talking about the people of the future. But he was referring to the people of the future having evolved from humanity, being something quite different from us. A hybrid of biology, or maybe transcending biology completely into what we might consider computer people or robotic people or whatever, mechanical, whatever they might be. But he used the term people and really spoke about them respectfully, of people who will have feelings and emotions and enjoy life and have hardships, and that is what we're moving toward. It just really blew my mind to think about that. Of course we're going to evolve. All creatures have, 99% of all creatures that have ever lived have gone extinct. Not because they were wiped out by some cataclysm, although some have, but because they changed into something else. And what makes humans unique is we're able to evolve within our own lifetimes, right? We adopt new behaviors and new ways of thinking and new ways of being and new ways of doing things, even within our own lifetimes. And it may very well be that we transition into something completely new during our own lifetimes as well, in the coming or in the coming generation. So that's what I'll be talking about. But in that sense, it really is a resurrection sermon, if you will, at least a sermon about transcendence. So we'll get to that in just a little bit later, but I may actually be giving an appropriate Easter sermon for Todd Eckloff speaking in a Unitarian church today. So, okay. Let's see, I think I remembered everything. Hope I didn't forget anything. So let's take a few moments here to greet one another then this morning. I'm not doing the story today. Stephanie is, so I didn't bring a friend. Oh, look at those dresses. Look at those dresses. Beautiful. Can I get a picture of you guys together?
Sure.
Let me get a picture of you. You want to get in a picture with me? No? Okay.
Is it Easter bunny gonna come here?
I don't know. We'll have to ask Stephanie. Okay. You like the phone? It's cool, isn't it? Okay, stand together. Oh my goodness. Oh, you guys look great.
Where is Stephanie?
What do you think? I saw her back there. She's going to be doing this children's story. Look at that phone. Isn't that very good? Nice. Look, I just put it in my pocket. Good job. That's very interesting. Huh? Sure. You want to do it? Go ahead. It's time. Yeah, right now. Oh, you're so good at that. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Let me see. Oh my gosh. Amazing. Well, that was fun. All right, we are going to move forward now by lighting our chalice. The chalice is the symbol of our unity and our solidarity, of our openness and our inclusion, of our community and our individual uniqueness. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world and a beacon of hope to those in need, and may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt wherever it's been found.
The opening words this morning are from Maya Angelou. Angelo, however you say it. The ship of my life may or may not be sailing on calm and amiable seas. The challenges of my existence may or may not be bright or promising. Stormy or sunny days, glorious or lonely nights, I maintain an attitude of gratitude. If I insist on being pessimistic, there is always tomorrow. Today, I am blessed.
Okay. If you could please stand and sing a new hymnal called Let There Be Light, and it's 142. Let there be light.
We'll now kindle our candles of care for those who are most on our minds this morning, and begin as we have been on behalf of the many people in the world who are suffering from war and violence, the people of Ukraine and Russia and that region of the world, the people in the Middle East, Israel and the Palestinian people, and others who are experiencing the direct impacts of the unending violence in those regions. And let's take a moment of silence on those who might be on your minds this morning, and you're welcome, as always, to name them aloud at this time if you'd like. Those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering in our world at this hour, we hold in our community with compassion. This is our third Sunday in which we generally take up a special collection, and today's special collection is for Jewish Voices for Peace. This is an organization that's been around a long time, that, as you can see, promotes peace in the world, as it says there, from the U.S. to Palestinian people. And it is a particularly important voice in our world at this time, as you can imagine, given what's going on between Israel and Gaza in that region of the world, the many innocent people that are being killed in the process there. Jewish Voices for Peace also happens to have benefited our congregation not too many years ago. It was in 2019 that we were wanting to discuss this very difficult subject, this seemingly unending topic that anytime you discuss the rights of Palestinian people or care for them, these ad hominem attacks of being anti-Semitic just come right at you. And so, rather than discussing it from the pulpit myself, and with an unwillingness of anyone from the local Jewish community to help guide us through the conversation, we reached out to this organization, which connected us with Rabbi Michael Davis in Chicago. And he came to speak, and he actually made history here, as this pulpit often does, as the first Jewish rabbi to speak favorably of the Palestinians during a Unitarian Sunday service. And he has felt the repercussions of the courage that he faced here over the years, but does not regret them. But anyway, this is really such a pivotal voice to have in the conversation, not only to help those of us who are from neither of these communities talk about it honestly, but because it is a conversation that is needed so badly today, a conversation in which both sides need to have compassion and respect for the other. So if this is a ministry that appeals to you, I hope that you will use the envelope in your order of service and contribute. You don't have to seal that envelope as usual. We can reuse it later. So we now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which helps sustain this community and our mission to the larger world. I thank you in advance for your generosity.
Thank you so much, Jackie. I'd love to invite any children to come forward for our Time for All Ages. Last summer, after a couple of years of encouragement from Sunny Cook's daughter, Laura, my son Max and I went to the Elliott Institute at CBAC, which is a Unitarian Universalist camp for UUs, their friends, and their families. And so today I wanted to share a little story that they've written about what it's like to be a kid at Elliott. Because I don't know about you, but I'm already thinking about summer vacation. Anyone else? Yeah, okay. Ding, ding, ding. The meeting house bell awakens the camp at 7:30 a.m. Breakfast is at 8. They have oatmeal, fresh fruit, bagels, toast, yogurt with granola, juice, milk, hot chocolate, and some of my favorite kids' cereals. Sometimes they have eggs or waffles too. Then I get to go up the hill with my family to the meeting house for ingathering, where we sing and listen to a fun story. Then the adults sing us out to our morning program, and we're split up into groups. The under threes and preschoolers are called the littles. Elementary age kids are sometimes split up into upper elementary and lower elementary. MAGS stands for middle age group. That's you, Max. Yeah? 6th through 8th graders. And then there's a youth group for high schoolers. I head off with my group and we spend the morning having fun and learning together. Depending on our age, we might play games, read stories, sing songs, do art projects, play at the playground, go for hikes in the woods, or explore the beach. There's lots of fun adventures to be had at CBEC. Each age group has their own traditions varying by camp. In August, the MAGs make peace boats in remembrance of World War II, and the youth organize their own coffee house. Lunch is at 12:15, and I can choose to eat my meals with my family or my friends. Then, in the afternoon, there's lots of activities to choose from. I might take a nap, go swimming in the lagoon, and rack up the bands on my swimming bracelet, participate in sports or play board games, do tie-dye, play make-believe in the forest, sit and talk with friends, and so much more. I get to decide, as long as I check in with my parents and follow the rules that they set. They're in charge of me while I'm at camp. Dinner is at 6 o'clock. There's always dessert, and there's always evening events. I might sing at the campfire, join a game like charades, participate in the talent show, or go to worship with my family. I hear there's a super fun dance on the last night of camp too, with a live band, but the children's curfew is 10 o'clock. I can't wait to see all my friends and spend a whole week away from home at CBEC this summer. I'm gonna have so much fun. And if you have any questions about the Elliott Institute at CBEC, there are flyers on the children's programming table, and you can let me know. And Sunny, you can let Sunny know too, because you went for lots of years, didn't you?
My daughter when she was 7 or 8.
And she's still going with her kids and bringing all of her friends. All right, please join me now in singing the children out to Children's Chapel. Remember, kids, we'll pause in the foyer to take care of our food pantry service project.
For this morning's meditation, I invite you to consider the words of Lama Surya Das. With every breath, the old moment is lost. A new moment arrives. We exhale and we let go of the old moment. It is lost to us. In doing so, we let go of the person we used to be. We inhale and breathe in the moment that is becoming. In doing so, we welcome the person we are becoming. We repeat the process. This is renewal. This is life.
upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail. And there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep, my faith will stand. And I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours and you are mine. Your grace abounds in deepest waters. Your sovereign hand will be my guide. Where feet may fail and fear surrounds me, you've never failed, and you won't start now. So I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours and you are mine. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you will call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, where my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Well, Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call me. Take me deeper where my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. And I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. My soul will rest in your embrace, for I am yours and you are mine.
Wow, thank you so much. Beautiful. I don't know what they're playing in the other churches today, but I think we've got to have the best music in town here. I'm sure they're not giving a sermon like I'm about to give. For thousands of years, human beings have been attracted to and repelled by the idea of someday creating artificial humans. We've long imagined what it would be like to have them perform our heaviest labor and our most menial task, yet also feared what might happen should they decide to turn on us. The golem of Jewish folklore is such a creature. Made of mud or clay and brought to life by magic, the golem, meant to help and protect its creator, often becomes uncontrollable and destructive. Adam, which also means mud, the first man, according to the Jewish tradition, was called a golem until he received the breath of God, suggesting that a golem, which means or is translated into unfinished man, can have the shape of a person but is not considered human because it is without a soul. Mary Shelley's famous 1818 novel, Frankenstein, is a similar fable. Its subtitle, The Modern Prometheus, denoting the Greek figure who stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity, is a reference to science, or a metaphor of science's attempt through its fictional avatar, Victor Frankenstein, to acquire abilities for itself that were once reserved for the sole privilege of the gods. Yet, Frankenstein's creation is not a monster by nature. It is turned into one after being rejected and mistreated by mankind. Let him live with me in the interchange of kindness, the monster pleads, and instead of injury I would bestow every benefit upon him with tears of gratitude at his acceptance. And one of the most memorable versions of this story for me is a 1964 episode of The Outer Limits, a TV series entitled I, Robot, based on the Isaac Asimov short story. It's an episode about a robot on trial after being wrongly accused of killing its creator. Although innocent, once the jury learns that the robot has read the Frankenstein novel, it decides the mechanical man had been influenced by it and must be guilty. And unlike Shelley's monster, however, the robot has been raised with love and kindness by his human creator. Outside the courthouse, while being escorted for demolition, the condemned automaton suddenly and violently breaks free of its restraints, but not to escape or harm its captors. It has spotted a child in the street about to be struck by a truck and moves swiftly to push the girl aside and is demolished itself in her stead. Looking upon the mingled pile of remains, a newspaper reporter, played by Leonard Nimoy, satirically says, "That terrible monster won't ever harm anybody again." That's probably what got him his role as Spock, I think, that line. The stories of I, Robot and Frankenstein's monster evoke my empathy and my remorse over how they were misjudged and mistreated, which I'm guessing is what their authors had intended for their audience. But the tendency to fear such figures is so common that psychology actually has a name for it. Automatonophobia. Yeah, automatonophobia. The fear of figures designed to resemble humans. They can include humanoid robots, along with wax figures, mannequins, animatronic characters these days, dolls, and, might I add, puppets. And I'm so aware of it myself that I always observe a child's reactions to my puppets before getting too close. Even many adults get creeped out walking past the puppet collection in my basement. I should probably keep it upstairs. Basements are creepy. But such innate fear has been exploited, of course, in horror films. The House of Wax in 1953 about vengeful wax figures coming to life, and Tourist Trap in 1979 about a deranged telekinetic psychic who uses violent mannequins to attack museum visitors. There's also horror films like Puppet Master and its sequels, along with the Chucky phenomenon, a series of 8 films so far, and a TV series about a wisecracking doll possessed by the evil spirit of a serial killer. And my favorite of them all is the recent movie Megan, about an artificially intelligent doll that will stop at nothing to fulfill her programming, including harming anybody that gets in her way. And that Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator films should be counted among such tales obviously goes without saying. So I bring this up at the start of my discussion about the fast approaching singularity for 3 reasons. Firstly, people are generally fearful of the future to begin with, a fear that may be irrationally exacerbated by the advent of artificial intelligence and humanoid robots, whether we have automatonophobia or have simply watched too many horror movies. Secondly, as I've just indicated, such figures are no longer the stuff of fiction, no longer the stuff of horror films and science fiction. They already exist, are advancing at an exponential rate, and are predicted to eventually outnumber us human beings, hopefully to serve us, not replace us. Tesla's CEO, Elon Musk, made international headlines last October when he predicted that this will occur by 2040. Tesla is just one of more than a dozen companies racing to capture the humanoid robot market as quickly as possible, by which I mean this year. In a recent Wired article, Danelia Russ, the director of the Computer and Artificial Intelligence Lab at MIT, said 2025 is the year when AI will finally make the leap from the digital world to the real world we inhabit. Just think about that term, finally. AI has technically, I shouldn't say technically, it has been practically with us for just a couple of years, right? We've been working on it for a long time, but as far as it actually coming mainline, just 2 years, and these are the kind of terms that are being used. Finally, after 2 years, it's going to get into machines. Right? This is how fast this stuff is changing, right? This is how fast our expectations are. 2025 is the year when AI will finally make the leap from the digital world to the real world that we inhabit, expanding AI beyond its digital boundary demands reworking how machines think, fusing the digital intelligence of AI with the mechanical prowess of robots. This is the year. During the next couple of years, AIs will gain an increasing amount of agency because of this leap into the real world, meaning that instead of just conversing with us, they will do things for us, like find and book our flights, drive us to the airport, shop for our groceries, and do our routine household chores like dishes and laundry, and even cook our meals. Like all technology, this should free us to focus our time, our energy, and our productivity on more important and meaningful tasks. The third reason I've begun by discussing artificial intelligence is because it seems to be the technology that will most hasten the coming singularity. AI will soon converge with other technologies, infusing our world with intelligent machines. that can do what we need them to do with little effort or input from us. More importantly, AI will allow us to address our greatest challenges, from cancer to climate change, from energy to housing, from poverty to human rights, with a speed and intelligence that just a couple of years ago was unthinkable. Still, there's a lot going on that's competing for our attention right now, especially in light of the global daily chaos that the Trump administration is unnecessarily causing. So it's easy to miss the biggest story in human history, that we are no longer the most intelligent entity on Earth, which means everything we know is about to change, faster than some may want and faster than few of us can imagine. One person who has been able to foresee it, however, is scientist, inventor, and futurist Ray Kurzweil. In 1999, Kurzweil began predicting that by 2029, just 4 years from now, computers would pass, or will pass, I should say, the Turing test. Being able, that is, to convince us that we are talking to a person rather than to a machine. And some would say that they've already accomplished that. And the greater problem is that they're so intelligent we can tell that they're not human. Right? So if they want to trick us, if we can teach them trickery, which I hope we don't, they'll have to dumb themselves down a little bit. So back then, 1999, up until very recently, most other computer and technology experts thought his prediction was way off by many decades, if not centuries, if ever. In Transcendent Man, a 2009 documentary about Kurzweil, Kevin Kelly, you recognize that name, anybody? Kevin Kelly? So Kevin, yeah, he's author of several books, best-selling books on technology himself, but more importantly, he's the founder and editor of Wired magazine, so you probably know him from that. So really got great credentials. But in this documentary, Kelly said, I think there's a lot of things that Ray is correct about, but he's completely off on the timing. But now just about everyone, including the experts, agree we will achieve the level of computer intelligence that Kurzweil predicted by 2029, if not before, if not by the end of 2026, making his original forecast a little late, which he likes to tease his former critics by pointing out. Kurzweil borrows the term singularity from mathematics and physics, but uses it only as a metaphor. In mathematics, it describes an undefined point. In physics, it's a point where the laws of physics break down and that is so dense that nothing can escape it. And that's what he means by the technological singularity. It is a point in time when technology leads to such change that we have no idea what the future is going to look like. Can't even imagine what it is going to look like. Like a black hole, no information is coming back to us from that point. So we have no notion of what's beyond this metaphorical technological singularity. Or singularity is the metaphor. The reality of the technology is not. So coming from Kurzweil, this is really quite the admission, given that he spent his now 77-year-long life, much of it forecasting the future based on his predictions about technological advancements. And he made 147 predictions in the age of the spiritual machines alone, 86% of which have come true, according to a 2011 report on the singularityhub.com. But far from being a psychic, Kurzweil has been using a reliable mathematical formula that he has named the law of accelerating returns, based upon the rate at which technology exponentially advances. So if you know the speed at which the number of transistors that can be placed on a computer chip doubles, right, every year or twice a year or every 2 years, whatever it is, then it's easy to calculate how many years it will take for computer processing to reach a certain speed. It's just basic math. You multiply it exponentially, right? It's doubling every 6 months. What does that mean in 10 doublings? And that's why Kurzweil estimated that by 2029, a $1,000 unit of computation in 1999 dollars will have the computing capacity of approximately 1,000 human brains. That's about 2 times 10 to the 19th calculations per second. We're pretty close already. So here are just a handful of the 1999 predictions that he forecast would exist only 10 years later in 2009. A few of those that have come true, just a handful of the 147. He predicted users would store their information, music, and movies on their computers and devices. That digital music and books would largely replace physical media. Electronic documents would replace paper. Media would become digitized with instant downloads possible. Netflix is grateful for that coming true. Cables would be replaced by wireless technologies. You know, we just got this device from our phone company that is completely wireless. It connects to the nearest tower from AT&T. $47 a month gives us high-speed internet throughout our entire house. It's unbelievable. We got rid of our $100-something a month Comcast bill, just like that, and it works fantastic. No wires, just plug it in. That's a tip. Internet Air, AT&T, if you're interested. Not a commercial. I'm not getting any kickbacks. He predicted that computers would include video cameras and facial recognition capability. That a $1,000 computer would be able to do 1 trillion calculations per second, again. The computers would be central to the educational processes and that all students would have one or at least access to one. Learning at a distance, e-learning, would become commonplace, and computers would double as telephones. So you can understand from just these examples why many take notice when Ray Kurzweil makes a prediction, and why his 2005 book, The Singularity is Near, and his more recent 2024 sequel, The Singularity is Nearer, are both tremendous bestsellers. The subtitle of the latter is When We Merge with AI. The Singularity is Nearer, When We Merge with AI. That's how Kurzweil now defines the moment that we reach the singularity, the final point we can observe through this mathematical formula before we can't imagine what the world is going to be like, is the moment when human intelligence merges with machine intelligence. In other words, using the law of accelerating returns, we can reasonably predict how and how fast technology will advance right up until it reaches that point that will change our existence dramatically, so dramatically that we simply cannot imagine what it will be like. That's the technological singularity. Whatever follows once humanity achieves superintelligence. Between now and then, Kurzweil predicts that the 2020s, which we're in right now, obviously, will be remembered as the decade when artificial intelligence becomes increasingly embedded in our daily lives, not just through language models like ChatGPT that have recently had such a profound entrance into our lives, but also on our healthcare, on our education, on our transportation, and even how we make moral decisions. He foresees the rise of what he calls narrow superintelligence this decade, systems that far surpass human ability in specific domains such as diagnosing disease or analyzing scientific data, which has already begun. In fact, I would say that even now, if a medical provider, a doctor, is not using AI to check themselves, not necessarily to disprove themselves, but just to check that they've considered everything, that should be considered malpractice. No doctor can simply contain within their heads all of the medical information that an AI can, by any means. By the early 2030s, coming right up, these narrow intelligences will begin to converge, allowing the creation of general superintelligence, machines with cognitive capabilities equal to or greater than human beings in every meaningful way. Right? Each AI will be an expert on everything, greater than any genius who's ever lived. At this point, we will begin to merge with AI, enhancing our brains through neural implants, BCI, or brain-computer interfaces, and nanotechnology, extending our intelligence, our memories, and even our lifespan, perhaps even indefinitely. As noted, Kurzweil remains convinced that by 2029, AI will convincingly pass the Turing test, and by 2045, just 20 years from now, we will reach the singularity itself, a moment so transformative that it will mark a new chapter in human evolution. Of course, two of his predictions must come true before this can happen. The first is advanced AI, which, as discussed, is already well on its way. It's undeniable, it's here, it's moving quickly. But what about the technology necessary for us to merge with it, to connect somehow our intelligence with its intelligence, so that we are our AIs, if you will? Right? So you've likely heard of Neuralink, I'm guessing, the company that in 2024 successfully implanted a BCI into the brain of a quadriplegic man who can now control a computer mouse with his thoughts. Yeah, this made big news. As impressive as this is, it's pretty invasive. There's a lot of risk to it, and it does a lot of damage to existing neurons, even though those 1,000 fibers from the chip that Neuralink has developed is hair thin. There is absolutely no room in the brain. It's a big, squishy, solid substance, and so putting those fibers into it just destroys millions of neurons. Right? So you don't want to do that unless you're desperate like this fellow to be able to have some agency in the world, which it's really changed his life. It's been transformative. But not a good solution for those of us who want to improve our memories and our intelligence. But just this week, I learned of a new company, Science Corporation. Interesting name. Surely somebody had that one before, but I guess not. It was founded by Max Hodak, the co-founder and former president of Neuralink, that is using a small device loaded with millions of stem cell-derived neurons, okay? Not 1,000 artificial fibers, but millions of stem cell-derived neurons, this little flat mechanism that would sit on top of the brain, right? So it's non-invasive, and it creates chemical synapses that spread into damaged areas of the brain, growing both axons and dendrites. And I've seen the images in some of the test animals, and this is really happening. I mean, you can see due to the color variations how these new neurons and new brain material has grown. But because they grow both axons and dendrites, they can be guided by a computer and even give feedback to those who are observing or overseeing the process. Now, Science Corporation is going to begin with primate trials later this year and expects to go into human trials as early as next year, beginning with stroke victims, expecting to repair regions of the brain currently considered irreparable. So, we are also well on our way to meeting Ray Kurzweil's deadline for effective BCI by the early 2030s, brain-computer interface. Okay, so why do I believe that this topic is important and pertinent enough to discuss during a Sunday service on Easter, of all days? Well, because I forget it was Easter, sorry. Because, as I said, with everything else that we are understandably concerned about today, few of us are even aware of, let alone thinking about, the unprecedented transformation that is upon us. Let's call it an NGT, non-governmental transformation. So many times, especially as Americans, where we think everything's about democracy and freedom, we think the government is supposed to be the solution, so all we have to do is vote the right person in and we'll fix everything. Doesn't happen. Government's dysfunctional. But there are lots of people in the world, lots of the billionaires and millionaires that Bernie Sanders derides, that are actually working to make this stuff happen and working on it because they care about the future and they care about humanity and they care about the world. Regardless of who's paying attention, we are only 20 years away from 2045. Which means things are going to get even weirder and more unpredictable in the coming days, weeks, months, and years than they are now. Everything is about to change. So what does this period of rapid exponential change mean for us? Well, I don't know, because I can't see past that point any clearer than Ray Kurzweil can. But it does lead me to question things. I wonder how governments will work. I don't know if they will. If they will even make sense. Why do we need governments if we're all connected in the cloud? Will democracy make sense, or will we argue and come to consensus automatically in this cloud existence, unafraid to entertain any of the new and better ideas that we become aware of? Today, our church is working to restore and preserve Unitarianism, but will there be any interest or need for our liberal religion or any religion when the singularity arrives? Will humanity as a whole upload, if you will, into another plane of existence entirely transcending the boundaries of our biology? Scary as that might sound for some, these are no longer questions of science fiction. These are our questions. These are the questions before us, as well as others. They're serious questions that will define our place in a radically transformative world. And if we are wise, we're not going to wait for the singularity to arrive before we begin preparing for it, not with fear, but with intention, not with panic, but with purpose. Not by asking what kind of future we're afraid of, but by asking what kind of future we want. Technology will soon outpace us in intelligence. So the most important thing that we can do right now is to stay human. Not in the sense of resisting the future of change, perhaps changes to our own selves, our own minds, but in the sense of carrying our best values forward into it. If we are to merge with AI, as it appears we will, then let us deliberate what merges. Let our humanity, the best of our humanity, remain coupled with it. Let it be imbued with our compassion and our curiosity and our creativity. Let it inherit our love for freedom and reason and tolerance, even if Unitarianism goes by the wayside. Let it share our belief in the inherent worth and dignity of every person, of all peoples, and ultimately of every being. And let us move into the future with the sense of adventure and wonder that has always allowed us to overcome our trepidations in order to discover new places and new ways and new ideas. If AI is to learn example, giving it our best, our deepest cares, and our highest aspirations. If it grows alongside us, let it grow from the roots we have tended, the roots of empathy, wholly foresee the future, but we can help shape it nonetheless. And the shape that we give it with our values and our ethics and our human spirit may be the most important legacy that humanity leaves behind. So let us live and lead as if the singularity is near, because it is. And let us meet it not as unfinished golems, but as beings who have breathed deeply from the human soul, the soul of humanity, and are ready not just to survive what's coming, but to become something more through whatever unknowns are waiting for us to discover out there beyond the singularity. Thank you.
All right, sing with us, Building a New Way.
For the benediction this morning, words by Baruch Spinoza. Be not astonished at new ideas, for it is well known to you that a thing does not cease to be true because it is not accepted by many. Amen. Blessed be. Salam alaikum and shalom.